The rain had stopped just minutes ago, leaving behind a misty silence that clung to the empty countryside road. The air smelled of wet earth and sorrow. Jack Turner's old pickup rattled down the muddy lane as he squinted through the fog, trying to get home before dusk swallowed the fields. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, had fallen asleep in the back seat, her small hands still clutching the worn teddy bear he'd found at a thrift store. Jack had been a single dad for 3 years, ever since his wife, Emma, lost her battle with cancer. Life hadn't been easy. Every day was a fight to make ends meet, working long shifts at the factory, and still coming home to play super dad for Lily, who believed he could fix anything. But that night, fate had something unimaginable waiting for him. Just as Jack turned the corner near the old farmland, his headlights caught something, or someone, lying by the roadside ditch. At first, he thought it was a mannequin, maybe dumped from a truck. But then he saw the faint movement of a hand. Slamming the brakes, he jumped out, boots sinking into the muddy ground. And there she was, a woman, bloodied, bruised, and motionless except for the shallow rise and fall of her chest. Her once white blouse was torn and smeared with dirt, her face streaked with purple bruises. Jack's breath caught in his throat. She looked broken, fragile, and for a moment, he thought she might already be gone. He knelt beside her, heart pounding. Hey, can you hear me?" he whispered, checking her pulse. It was weak, but there. Relief washed over him. Carefully, he brushed the hair from her face, and when he saw her clearly under the beam of his flashlight, something inside him froze. His eyes widened, his mouth went dry. He knew that face. He hadn't seen her in almost 10 years, but he could never forget. Before we continue this heart-wrenching story, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of humanity, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who still believes in doing good, and subscribe to our channel for more real, emotional stories that touch the heart. Jack couldn't believe what he was seeing. The woman lying unconscious in his arms was Claire Mitchell, the last person he'd ever expect to find in a ditch on a lonely country road. Claire, his first love. The woman who had once promised him forever, then walked away to chase a bigger life in the city. The same woman who'd left him heartbroken and questioning his worth all those years ago. Now, she was here, beaten, broken, and helpless. He carried her to his truck, wrapping her in an old blanket from the back seat. Lily stirred in her sleep, but didn't wake as Jack drove to the nearest hospital, his hands trembling on the wheel. The rain began again, soft at first, then pounding against the windshield like a warning. Jack's thoughts spiraled. Who had done this to her? Why was she here, miles from any main road? And why did his heart ache for someone who had once shattered it? At the hospital, doctors rushed her into the emergency room. Hours passed before one came out, their expression grim. "She's stable, but there's spinal trauma," the doctor explained. "We'll know more after the scans, but she may not walk again." The words hit Jack like a physical blow. He sat there in the sterile waiting room, the sound of rain echoing against the glass, trying to process what had just happened. Days turned into weeks. Claire survived, but she was paralyzed from the waist down. The police couldn't find who attacked her, only that her car had been found abandoned miles away. She had no family nearby, and no one came to visit. Jack could have walked away after that night, told himself he'd done enough by saving her. But something inside him wouldn't let him. He started visiting her every evening after work, bringing her food, books, and sometimes just quiet company. At first, she barely spoke. Shame and anger clouded her once bright eyes. She avoided his gaze, unable to reconcile the man she had left behind with the man now helping her eat, change clothes, and relearn life in a wheelchair. Jack never asked her about the past. He just helped, quietly and steadily, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Lily met Claire one sunny afternoon when Jack brought her to the hospital. The little girl's innocence melted the tension in the room. "Are you my daddy's friend?" Lily had asked shyly. Claire smiled for the first time since the attack, her voice barely above a whisper. "I think I used to be." That small moment began to change everything. Over time, the three of them formed an unlikely bond. Jack helped Claire move into a small, accessible cottage near his home when she was discharged. He built ramps, fixed the kitchen to be wheelchair-friendly, and brought her groceries every week. He never asked for anything in return. But inside, he fought a storm of emotions. Anger for what had happened to her, confusion about why he still cared, and a deep ache every time he saw her struggle to accept her new life. Claire, on her part, carried heavy guilt. She had left Jack years ago believing he wasn't ambitious enough, that she was meant for more. She had married a wealthy man, a powerful businessman, only to discover he was controlling, cruel, and violent. The bruises on her body weren't just from the night of the attack, they were from years of silent suffering. The night Jack found her was the night she tried to escape her husband's abuse. He had followed her, beaten her, and left her for dead on that road. Jack learned the truth one evening when she finally broke down, tears spilling onto her trembling hands. He didn't interrupt. He just sat there, eyes soft, letting her speak through sobs that had been locked inside for years. When she finished, she looked at him and whispered, "I don't deserve your kindness." Jack's voice was steady but full of emotion. "Everyone deserves a second chance, Claire, even you." That night marked the beginning of healing for both of them. Jack, who had lost faith in love and people, found his heart softening again. Claire, who had been drowning in guilt and pain, began to rediscover hope. Lily adored her, often visiting to help Miss Claire paint or read stories. Slowly, laughter began to fill the small cottage that had once felt so cold. Months passed. Claire's strength returned, not in her legs, but in her spirit. She started teaching art classes for children in wheelchairs at the local community center, using her own experience to inspire others. Jack helped her with transportation and logistics, often watching from the doorway as she guided little hands through strokes of color and imagination. The town that once whispered rumors about her began to see her as a beacon of courage. One crisp autumn morning, Jack found a letter in his mailbox. It was from Claire. Inside, she had written a single page that changed everything. "Jack, you once saved my life. But more than that, you taught me how to live again. You showed me that love isn't about grand promises. It's about quiet strength, forgiveness, and kindness. If there's still room in your heart for me, I'd like to spend the rest of my life showing you how grateful I am." Jack didn't need to think twice. That evening, he drove to her cottage. When she opened the door, he knelt beside her wheelchair, took her hand, and simply said, "Welcome home." From that day on, they were a family, not perfect, but real, built on pain, redemption, and love reborn from the ashes of the past. Years later, when people in the town spoke of Jack and Claire Turner, they didn't just tell a story about tragedy. They told a story about second chances, about a poor single father who stopped on a rainy night to help a stranger, only to discover that destiny was giving him back the love he'd lost, and a reason to believe in miracles again. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel for more real stories that remind us of the power of compassion. And before we end, let us know in the comments, what would you have done if you found someone from your past hurt and helpless on the roadside? Because sometimes, life gives us one moment to choose between walking away or changing a life forever.